Hey, hey there, friends. For those of you who don't know, I'm Sarah, professional software engineer and owner of Anigrams Productions. I like to make games, websites, shirts, all sorts of things. Today we're gonna be playing my very first game, Memoirs of an Angel, which was originally released 14 years ago in 2010. It's finally coming to Steam on July 30th, which I'm really excited about. And it's entirely free to play, and it's actually already available on itch if you want to go check it out. So last week we played through Shale's route. Shale is the cold, silent type, a mysterious assassin who ends up sparing Zuleika and helping her to escape instead. This week, we're going to be playing through KIRILE'S routes. Now, Kirile is the fire to Shale's ice, where Shale is quiet and serious, Kirile is loud and playful. Um, Most of his route is the same as Shale's. It starts the same, goes through a lot of the same beats, but this time we're going to be playing as the strong personality type, which has its own unique little battle mini game and its own events. And Before I forget, for anyone curious, last week when we streamed the playthrough of Shale's route, it ended and the credits didn't roll after the game ended. And I was confused. I was like, oh no, why is that happening? Um, but it turns out that it was an issue with the persistent data. So I have multiple copies of the game installed, of the Steam version, and of course a local version for development. And I guess they were causing conflicts with each other. Um, so it wasn't just the credits, it was also like anytime I had a pause, none of those pauses were working. So the credits didn't play, my splash screen, which is like the little intro that plays before you get to the menu, like the main menu, that wasn't playing. And then a lot of my transitions within the game were more abrupt than usual. So that was not great. But you know, didn't really affect any gameplay or anything. It was just kind of annoying. So anyway, I went through this whole process of trying to delete all of the persistent data and saves. Had to turn off Steam Cloud Save and delete all my saves, all my persistent data. Reinstalled, uninstalled, reinstalled the Steam version, and now I think we're good. I think I got it. But we'll see. We'll see today if the credits roll. Um, to be fair, I'm not expecting anyone else to have this issue. It's very much me as someone who had a bunch of different copies of the game installed. Of course, I had not just the Steam version and the local version, but a few old versions as well, um, including old versions of the game, right? And most people won't have multiple copies of the game installed. Probably won't run into this, but wanted to mention it to close up that thread from last week. All right. Well, without further ado, let's get started. Come on, I know you can do it. There we go. There we go. All right, here we go. As mentioned last week, I did have a poll on whether people preferred actually reading through all the text when playing a visual novel that doesn't have its own voice acting, and the preference was indeed to Oh, I should turn that on. The preference was indeed for me to read through everything, all the text. So, buckle in. Last week this took about 2 hours, just because it takes a while to read through all the text, and then sometimes I give commentary and things like that. Again, as last week, if you want a pure version of this experience without commentary, the game's free, go play it. And experience it for yourself. And also, as mentioned, KIRILE'S route is very similar to Shale's, so there's going to be a lot of rehashing from last week, but I also had to delete all my persistent data, so I wouldn't be able to skip through what we've already seen, even if I wanted to, but I wasn't planning to anyway, so we're going to start from the beginning and play through it. So, you know, if you just wanted to watch KIRILE'S route without having watched Shale's route first, it should work out fine. Angels. They are beings created to serve and protect the gods, their creators. Most take the form of winged beasts who guard their masters dutifully, but in some rare cases, angels can take human form. There are only a few such angels in the whole world, and I happen to be one of them. My name is Zuleika, and I am the princess of the Tarakan Empire. I am also well known for being... And notice we don't have our fifth little option here, because I don't have any persistent data anymore. So last week when we played through Shale's route, we chose the brilliant strategist personality. But this week, because we want to focus on KIRILE, we're going to say that we are a fearless warrior. Or at least I was. As Tyreka went through a period of radical change, my life too was turned upside down. This is where my story begins. The long, bloody War of the Nations, which engulfed the entire continent in a struggle for power and land for nearly a decade, had finally ended with the death of my master, the mighty Tarakan Emperor Osiris the Great. During this time, dozens of villages throughout Tyreka were destroyed, and the war left many people without homes or food, not to mention the thousands of lives lost in the battles themselves. The empty throne was quickly filled by Nephron the Cruel, the late emperor's younger brother, who played off the corruption of the high court to take the seat of power for himself. He had no apparent interest in helping rebuild the nation that was destroyed by his brother's war, and instead seemed to focus solely on satisfying the rich noblemen who supported him. To make matters worse, I was forced out of my position by the high court, who despised the idea of a woman in power, much less an angel. The new Emperor Nephron, however, offered to allow me to stay in the castle, as I had nowhere else to go. He had one condition, that I be his personal servant. I was now faced with what would be the most important decision of my life. Would I stay in the castle I'd lived in all my life, even if I had to serve the man who killed my master, in order to fight the corruption of the court from within? Or would I leave the only life I had ever known, to live as a peasant, trying to repair the damage that had been done to the kingdom one step at a time? That night, I sat in my bedroom, staring out at the starry sky and contemplating my next move. Perhaps this is punishment for what Emperor Osiris and I did during the war. I killed many soldiers while on the front lines, most of whom had families waiting for them back home, but what else could I have done? Osiris ordered me to do it, and as his angel, I couldn't disobey. Or at least, that's what I tell myself. He had told me that it was for the people, for the nation we both loved. and I believed him, even though I knew in my heart it was wrong. He had gone mad with power, but I refused to admit it. This was the man who created me, after all. The man who always smiled, who showered me with gentle affection. He was the man who united the quarreling kingdoms long ago and created the Tyrakan Empire, where for decades there were only peace and prosperity. He was a man who was once filled with pride and honor and love for his people. I can't believe that he became such a monster. And now, I can't believe that he's gone forever. Suddenly, the sound of glass breaking and shouting outside disturbed me from my thoughts. "Intruder! Get the intruder!" Before I knew it, the intruder was there, in my bedroom, with a knife in hand. I was positive this truly was my punishment. I looked my assassin in the eye, ready to accept my due punishment for the lives I helped destroy. He looked right back into mine, in position to deal the life-ending strike at any moment. I couldn't help but notice his features. Long silver hair and ice-blue eyes. He must be a Nalani, and a beautiful one at that. And those wings, is he an angel? But to my surprise, he put away his knife, and instead held out his hand. "I do not wish to kill you. Come with me, princess. I'll take you away from here before someone else is sent to finish the job." Shocked, I simply stared at him. I couldn't believe this was happening. "Hurry, take my hand." This was my best opportunity to get out of the castle and start a new life, one where I could help rebuild my beloved nation. But to leave with a strange man who came here to kill me could be dangerous. So I've got an option here. Take his hand, or "I'm sorry, but I can't." So this option, as mentioned last week, this option is really important. It's probably the most important choice of the game, because depending on which option you choose here, the game splits into two completely separate paths, with different love interests. But since we're doing KIRILE'S route today, we are going to take Shale's hand. Sorry, take the mysterious assassin's hand. I took the strange assassin's hand, knowing that this was probably my only chance to get out of the castle and live the life I always wanted. Obtained warrior's garb and 500 gold. I missed an opportunity here to put like a little cha-ching sound. We quickly started to make our escape, rushing down the corridor with limited supplies in hand. However, we didn't get far before an arrow whizzed past us. "Unhand her, intruder. I will not allow you to go any further." We turned to see none other than Prince Durin, Emperor Nephron's angel and my closest friend. I couldn't help feeling a sinking feeling in the pit of my stomach. I was hoping I wouldn't have to confront him like this. "Zuleika, I swear on my life that I won't let this man harm you." "Wait, Durin, this isn't what you..." But before I could finish, the prince shot another arrow at the assassin, who dodged it, picked me up, and started running full speed. Durin followed close behind, bow and arrow in hand, waiting for an opportunity to strike. Just when it seemed that we were at a dead end, the assassin lunged himself out of the only exit, a large window, and spread his large white wings, propelling him into the sky, with me hanging on tightly. Monochrome gang, yeah. That's our name for the trio, the three angels who are white and black. I could hear my friend calling after me, but there was no turning back now. "I'm sorry, Durin, but this is where our paths must part." The next morning, I woke up to the smell of something delicious cooking over a fire. It's late. It took me a minute to remember the events of the night before, and to realize that this was the assassin, now unmasked, who had come to kill me just hours earlier. Oh, hello there. I figured you would have left by now. He merely humphed in reply. I don't believe we were ever properly introduced. I'm Zuleika, as you probably already know, and you are? If you must call me something, then Shale will do. I paused for a moment, taking in the name. Wait, the Shale? As in the assassin from Nalan who slayed 100 men in a single battle? The man silently turned back to the fire, obviously ignoring my question. Why did you save me? What are your plans from here? What's for breakfast? I did not draw the art for the game. I commissioned an artist for the art. I'm trying to remember the username, but of course it was 14 years ago. I think I've tried to find them and haven't been able to find them again, so. But the all of the credits and links to the artists that I could find are on the itch.io page for this game. But yes, I do love the art. It's very pretty. I should say the character sprites I commissioned. All of the backgrounds are free resources that I found at the time, and most of those I could not find today. They're gone. They're disappeared into the ether. And we are going to so last time we did the why did you save me, and then what's for breakfast, and then what are your plans from here. I think I'm gonna skip the 2 extra options and just what are your plans from here, which kind of skips to the next section. Once you finish eating, it would be wise to start heading west towards the city of Draconia. Since the city is on the Pyrolan border, you'll be able to acquire some weapons and supplies without drawing too much attention. Wait, weapons? Whatever happened to starting new, peaceful lives? I'm a princess, not a warrior, you know. I have a shirt for that. I linked it, if you look for the YouTube videos from last week, I linked in the description, and I'll link it again in the description of this one. He looked at me with his usual serious, stoic expression. Your king will send men after you soon enough, and if the Holy Mother finds out that I failed to kill you... Holy Mother? Again, he ignored my question. Your first priority must be to protect yourself. Everything else is secondary. And what about you? What do you plan to do? I will go with you. What? Why? Simple. I have nowhere else to go. Why don't you just go home and lie to whoever sent you? That is not possible. Well, why not? You ask too many questions. If you do not leave this place soon, they will find you for sure. Fine, fine. Let's go. Woo! Alright, so end of chapter 1. We got 500 gold. And as mentioned, kind of last week, the different personality types come with a strong stat and a weak stat. And because we chose the fearless warrior personality type this time, we started out with 100 strength, but only 25 intellect. So our strength is strength, and our weakness is intellect. And charm and kindness are just kind of neutral values at this point.